Hey guys, welcome to Check Your Leader TV. Today we're going to be doing a quick review of General d'Armee version 2. It finally hit the doorstep. I got my copy pretty quickly. From what I can gather, the first copies were hitting doorsteps about one day before mine arrived. So I'm pretty pleased about that. Clearly, Royal Mail does a better job than Australia Post does in getting stuff around. So that's good to hear. With all reviews I do my reviews using the same system that the guys over at Little Wars TV do. Basically, it's a weighted scale, 5 broad categories. Playability is worth 10%. Presentation is worth 10%. Playability is worth 30%. Mechanics are worth 30%. Historical flavour 20%, and finally support 10%. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll kick off. We'll do this review. So without further ado, let's have a look at General d'Armee version 2. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is presentation. Now, this is an absolute cracker of a book. It's beautifully presented. It's well bound. What I really like about it, I'll go straight to this, is the index at the back of the book. As you would expect, you have all the various topics listed in the index, as you can see there. And what I really appreciate is the fact that there are certain pages that are highlighted. For example, battle cavalry is referenced twice in the index, pages 6 and 45, but on page 45 is highlighted in bold. So if you go straight to 45, it just so happens I've opened up straight at 45, and there we see all the charge advantages pertaining to battle cavalry. So that's kind of handy. So the index is fantastic. It's really good, well laid out, seems to cover, and it's quite a large index as well. So 2 full pages of the index down both sides, and like I said, numerous references with certain references highlighted. So that's really good to know. It's a gorgeous book, beautiful illustrations and photos throughout. It's well laid out. It follows a logical sequence, but in addition to the rules, with them comes these fantastic quick reference sheets. They're really hard, good quality paper, glossy, kind of like laminated. I don't really know how you describe them, other than say that I suspect if I was to drop some sauce from my pie on it, it would just wipe off and they'd be good to go. So for presentation, I've given this version of General d'Armee version 2 a 9 out of 10. So moving straight on, we go to playability. Now, a couple of notes here I've put on in regards to playability. It's very easy to pick up. The rules are very easy to understand. And the game plays very quickly. So I've played more than a few games now of General d'Armee version 2, because I was privileged enough to have a pre-release draft of the rules, and I've played probably at least 15 games now of General d'Armee version 2, and the average game with a reasonably sized battle, at least 4 brigades per side, and I'm getting those games on average knocked over between 3 and 4 hours, which is pretty good for a divisional level Napoleonic war game. We played General d'Armee version 2 at CanCon in the Lard Zone. You can see a video on that particular event in my playlist, and it was very well received. We played with quite a few guys who had only either played General d'Armee version 1 or hadn't played General d'Armee at all, and within playing probably the first 3 or 4 turns of the first game over 3 days, we played games over 3 days, everybody had a pretty good grip of the rules. On day 2, We even had a 10-year-old lad rock up. He seemed pretty interested. I let him take over one of the brigades that I was using, and the lad was playing along with us pretty quickly and stayed with us pretty much most of the day. So playability wise, no problems there at all. What do you need to enter, get an army on the table? Well, it really depends on how much effort you want to put into it. I suspect most people who will be getting General d'Armée version 2 probably already have Napoleonic armies, but considering that really to represent a battalion you only need 2 bases, just so that you can make a distinguish between a line and a column and obviously a square. It's you don't need a lot of miniatures to enter the playing field of General d'Armée version 2. Obviously, the more miniatures that you can have on the table, the better. That's part of Napoleonic wargaming in general. But like I said, for a Napoleonic miniatures game, the entry level bar is not high. It doesn't take, you're not going to need squillions of miniatures. Hell, you could even play it with just tokens easily enough. Why you would want to, I have no idea, but if you wanted to, you could. So out of playability, I'm going to give it 27 points. So that's basically 9 out of 10. I really can't find much fault in it. The next category we go on to now is mechanics, which is really the guts of the rules. For me, I find it very difficult to find anything to fault with General d'Armée version 2. I thought General d'Armée, the original version, was pretty good. I didn't see anything that was outrageously wrong with it. And I was actually quite concerned when I heard that a second version of General d'Armée was being contemplated. My philosophy has always been, if it ain't busted, don't mess with it. In other words, if it ain't broken, don't try to fix it. But as I've stated in previous videos, I have been pleasantly surprised, and it really is an improvement. Given the high score that I gave the original General d'Armée version 1, obviously I'm going to have to give a higher score for this. But before I do give my score, let's get right into the mechanics. The thing that I really like about General d'Armée version 2 is the command and control system, the use of aide-de-camps to transmit orders to individual brigades to get them to conduct certain maneuvers on the battlefield. The fact that there is friction built into the system in quite a nuanced way, so that you can become frustrated, not with the game, but with the circumstances that you find your troops in. The kind of frustration that a battlefield commander experiences commanding troops on a battlefield. So that's part of the DNA of General d'Armée version 2. I particularly like the way General d'Armée handles skirmishes and artillery. Being an artilleryman myself, I just really appreciate how artillery is used, simulated in this game. It is the first set of rules where I've seen where you actually have bounce through from close range canister fire. Now that might sound counterintuitive, firing canister and getting bounce through, but what bounce through actually is in most Napoleonic rules, what it really means is penetration. How far the shot penetrates through the targeted unit into units that are providing support to that unit. And what is often overlooked is grape canister fire. Grape shot does have its own penetrative quality. And on top of that, it was quite common to fire canister with round shot, or to have some guns in the battery firing round shot and some guns firing canister. So yes, you did get penetrative fire from canister. Quite obviously not at long range, but then again, canister isn't used at long range. It's used pretty much at very short range. So when the enemy is really threatening the guns. And you get that in General d'Armée. You also, the way skirmishes are handled, I think is excellent. They're not overly powerful, but they're not muted either. They do have a significant effect on the battlefield, which historically the skirmishes did during the Napoleonic Wars. Caissons. You now have in General d'Armée an ability to resupply ammunition to your batteries if they go low on ammunition, or even if your batteries have suffered casualties, you can bring caissons forward, and that lifts some of the casualties from your battery, because not all the casualties on the battery are necessarily gunners. It could be damaged equipment. These caissons represent artificers and the like coming forward, bringing forward guns that were held in reserve to replace guns that have been knocked out, so on and so forth. So it really is a very good way of simulating that logistic support that you would get on the actual battlefield, as opposed to, you know, all that supply train. You know, basically the army comes up to the battlefield, and then all the supply logistics elements, they're off the battlefield and they've got nothing more to do with it. Well, not so much, particularly in artillery batteries. And like I said, even to this day, when a battery deploys in the field, their own light aid detachment, or artificers, gun plumbers as we call them, would be there with the battery to provide logistical support to the gun line. And that has been the case ever since we figured out that if you hollow out this metal tube and put some bangy powder in it and light it, it'll make an earth-shattering kaboom, and pointy shit will fly out the other end. So, and this is the only set of Napoleonic rules that I've seen simulate that. And then you can also play the game at the corps level, where you have adjutants and divisional adjutants and corps adjutants. And so these guys are out there kicking ass and taking names, pushing aide-de-camps out to where they're needed. So, for example, in a game, if you have a divisional aide-de-camp, because of the quality of your divisional commander and his staff, when you have ADCs, when you roll for your ADC availability and one or two go missing, well, enter the adjutant, who starts gripping up young officers and putting brevets on their arms and saying, "Hey, guess what, champ? You're now an aide-de-camp. Get out there and take this message to that clown over there." And so, again, these are one of those things that you don't often see in Napoleonic rules. So that the command aspects, the friction, the logistical support, all these things that normally are just pushed to one side, you get it in General d'Armée, but it's introduced into the rules in a way that is so nuanced you barely notice it. But it makes a huge game to the game, and results in what I consider to be a magnificent experience when it comes to simulating Napoleonic warfare on the tabletop. So for that reason, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10, which totals, if I'm not mistaken, 27. Why not 10 out of 10? I'm sure there's going to be things in the mechanics that some people won't like. I can't think of any, but I'm always hesitant to go the full Monty on a score. I like to leave a little bit of wriggle room for improvement or for criticism. Moving straight along now to the next category. This is worth 20 points, and we're talking about historical flavour. After what I've just said, you'll be surprised to hear that I'm actually going to give it 10 out of 10 for historical flavour, simply for the fact that all those things that I mentioned in the mechanics, it just, General d'Armée version 2, in my opinion, oozes historical flavour. I love the fact that there are actual national characteristics. The French command system, for example, is superior basically to everybody else's. The British and the late Prussians catch up near the end of the Napoleonic Wars, but prior to that, the French command staff work is superior to everybody else's, which is why the French army under Napoleon and his marshals dominated for so long during that that conflict. It's not because the French soldier or the French cavalryman or the French gunner was necessarily man for man superior to everybody else in Europe. The real difference between the French under Napoleon and all those other European armies was the French staff work. So 10 out of 10 there, which gives it a points-wise, historical favour, gives it a massive 20 points. And finally, support. There is ample support for General d'Armée online. The Two Fat Lardies have produced a series of 4 videos covering how the game is played and the mechanics behind it. There are other videos out there of people playing General d'Armée, the original version, and I suspect this version as well. I know that for a fact because I've produced some of them. There's a Facebook group, at least 3 General d'Armée Facebook groups. There's the Two Fat Lardies forum, there's the General Brigade forum, and generally speaking, if you've got a question and you go to any of those forums, you're going to get an answer pretty quickly. So support-wise, 10 out of 10, because I cannot think of any other way where you could get any more support than you already get. And not only for any questions you might have, but for sharing scenarios and just general banter about the game. It also should be pointed out that there's already 3 scenario books available for General d'Armée. There's the Victoria Victory in Spain campaign book, there's the 100 Days campaign book, and there's the 1813 Battle for Germany campaign book. I've also been led to believe, well, I know for a fact actually because I checked it out the other day, that in War Games Vault there are scenarios, there's a series of scenarios that are already up at War Games Vault that you can download, and I think it's like $12 US. And each of the scenario books themselves are not terribly expensive. Don't ask me to tell you exactly how much they are. Simply go to the Two Fat Lardies shop and you can find that out for yourself. Long story short, they come in PDF format. They're not expensive. So if you add all those scores together, by my quick calculation, that's 93 points out of 100. Is it high? Yep. Is it worthy of 93 points out of 100? Easily, as far as I'm concerned. So, do yourself a favor. If you haven't got a hard copy, at least get the PDF version and check it out. Again, I should have mentioned that in presentation. Not only do you can you get a hard copy, but you can get a PDF version as well. So check it out. It's really a great set of rules. I can't recommend General d'Armée to more highly. For me, it is going to be my absolute go-to set of rules for the Napoleonic era. So with that, I'll wrap it up. We'll leave it at that, and I will catch you on the next one. Like I said, currently got a GDA boot camp going, videos. Basically, I'm playing a core level game. So keep an eye out for part 2. Part 1 is already up on the channel. If you're looking at this video, you'll very easily find the other GDA videos that I've produced. And of course, go to the Two Fat Lardies channel and check out their videos also on General d'Armée version 2. I can't think of anything else to add other than like, share and subscribe. You be Quaid.